Hi. Sorry. I'm actually recording this as an act of compassion, of self-compassion to myself. I don't know how well you'll hear me because my air conditioning is on, and also my throat is pretty blocked. I'm saying self-compassion because I'm having a very strange crisis. It's kind of subtle one. I don't know how to call it. And it feels kind of unusual because I can have my moods, but this one, I feel like it was building up in a way when I didn't know it was, but in hindsight, it was. And I feel like I'm also to regulate myself. For 1 second, I'm like coloring my nails here because I have 1 or 2 that are not fully nicely done. So this is self-regulation by occupational therapy. That's it. So this is going to be a strange video. It's going to be a video without a topic, without direction. It will be just kind of an emotional vlog video where I just am with myself while recording it. And that's that. So in hindsight, I can see how this has been building up, especially in the few last days. I felt like something is going on, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it because nothing happened. And then something happened. It was like I was feeling the backlash of the crisis before the crisis came. But now something really happened, I feel. And I do feel like I have a narrative, but I don't know how I felt it before it happened. I think there's some really great sensitivity concerned with what's happening. And right now I'm recording this because I have 2 hours till I can sit and do my emotional work session with myself because I just ate. And I sat down and started to reflect on what I want to do with this time. And I couldn't come up with anything because I'm stuck at home. It's too hot to go outside, and I just ate. And I'm sitting in the air conditioning, and I don't feel 100% because I just ate a bit too much. Nothing too extreme, but a bit too much to really feel light and mobile. And And I'm looking at myself on the screen, and I wish I could show you how you can't see the way that I feel. It's like I have these feelings inside of me, like everything's corrupted. And I don't want to break out crying, but if I would, you would see it. I'm really distressed. But I am quite regulated because I did do some sadhana, some practice, some breathing and meditation at noon. And then I had a nice shower, which made a difference. And I didn't eat so much until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it helped me to feel light, and it helped me to feel better. And then I took some Bach flower remedies, which I'm a practitioner of, and I think it helped me a bit to like subside the emotions a bit. Not in the way of pushing them down, but just regulating and taking the edge off, which is important in this kind of situation because I felt so like distorted inside. And you would think something terrible happened, but it didn't. But something pretty substantial happened to me, and I'm just gonna name what happened. And then maybe I'll proceed with my reaction. As I said, I was feeling kind of off in the last few days. And I don't know quite how to describe it. But then there's this meditation group, which I've been coming into online for the last maybe 3 months. But it's really meaningful. It was really meaningful to me to have this frame, this work, this group. I really liked coming there, and I came to like the people and like the frame, like the way that it is held there. And it's a group that does meditation by the tradition of Thomas Keating, which is a pretty great he's a father and a hermit and a teacher by the Christian tradition, but it's pretty much he's pretty a heretic in his tradition. He brought about a lot of stuff to integrate into that tradition, a lot of knowledge from other fields, and he also revived this practice that he called centering prayer. And by another spiritual teacher, friend, I came to know his teaching and the practice, and I kind of for a while got both curious and in love with the way that he presents, and other teachers that are also connected to this lineage. And I came to really like the way that it's presented. And so this is how I came to be, in that I'm getting sad a bit. Nothing really happened. Just what happened was when you go into that group, for the first 20 minutes, they do a reading in the Christian tradition. I'm not Christian, I'm Jewish, but I like the teaching. I liked it. I appreciate it. And it's called in the Christian tradition, it's called Lectio Divina. It's just reading inspirational writings. And what they do in the group, they read from his wonderful book, Open Heart, Open Mind, of Thomas Keating. And there are really sweet members there. They're mostly English, and I like the accent. And when I come in there, I just feel like I land into something cultured and soft and tender, especially being an Israeli with our rough ways. So it's really nice to sit and hear this book being read by British accents, and I like almost everything that I hear, and sometimes I didn't resonate so much and didn't agree so much with what I was hearing, but really it was not such a big gap, and I kind of was more strong, I guess. I don't know how to say it. To not be too disturbed by differences of opinion with the teaching that is in the background of this group. And then they go into 20 minutes meditation. And even in the past, like past occasions, I remember like doing other practices, not doing exactly what was said in the book they were reading, and practicing my own stuff while sitting with them. And it felt fine. It felt, I didn't care. I'm a heretic at heart, and I didn't care going against what my surroundings was doing. I don't know what happened this time yesterday. I know that I was pretty sensitive anyway. Something is like loosening at the seams, it seems. Loosening at the seams for me. There's a theme of no self and disintegrating self that is coming up from all kinds of areas in my life. And at the same time, I'm also very engaged in the topic of integration and including all the parts, as they say in the IFS teaching, IFS system, which I'm really inspired of because I'm trained in it. So the theme of integrating all feelings and thoughts and allowing them to be, sorry, is pretty prevalent in my process these days, more so than ever. And well, Thomas Keating speaks in his book also about integration, but in that specific part that they were reading yesterday. It talked about not so much integration and allowing, but more in meditation or centering practice is a way of ignoring whatever comes up, letting it be, not objecting it, but not embracing it, but just ignoring it. He doesn't use, I don't think he uses the word ignoring, but then he does say to not engage with the parts or emotions or feelings coming up. But to leave them be, let them pass, like ships on the river, and mind like concentrate on the river, on what's beneath, which is a beautiful metaphor. And I already listened, I already heard that chapter being read to me, and I wasn't upset so much before. I just went like, oh, well, I'll do something else then. But this time, I heard the lady that read it say, read, it's a form of self-denial. And somehow, for some reason, the word self-denial just made all alarms go off in me. I saw red. Actually, I couldn't handle it because it's so clear to me these days that right now I don't want to do any self-denial. I just don't. And then at first I didn't mind so much feeling like that when she read it, but then I sat with them to meditate, and I noticed like how much dichotomy and conflict was going on within me, because I was trying to do what he was saying in that chapter, and noticing I don't like, there was a big part in me that wasn't interested in doing that, and it was became too conflicting, and I just stopped and I went out, which is okay. I already went out from places, from groups, that's fine. But then I felt that emotional backlash, which I recognize right now as well as this grief that's sitting on my diaphragm and making me want to cry. And a big part of it was the emotional connection and attachment that was developed to that group in several ways. First, I liked the people. Second, I liked being part of that group. I even led it 2 times this past 2 weeks, because the leaders were missing and no one was there to make. I am really good at singing, and they do it like they set it up the way that you sing at the beginning some mantra and then at the end to close. So I did it for them, and I was received so well, and I like the people so much. They're so sweet, and I felt like I still do. Like there, I don't know how to cry without a sad face, so sorry. You know, dropping the tear with a blank face, I can't do it. I still do. I still feel I belong, which is not common to me to feel it. I feel like I had a lot more hanging on being a part of this group that I admitted to myself, and it's still hard to admit it. Just having a place where I can go in and meditate with people was really, really comforting to me. And it felt like I was just, it is a kind of innocent place, clean place where I can be myself. But there were, I'm coming back to what you read. There were two things I remember now, two things that were in that text read that kind of made me go off like this. One was the self-denial, and the other that was the term it has a term how do you say it in English? The false self. And I didn't jive with it, with this term, all through my engagement with that teaching so much. But it was like when she said it in that context, in that wording of that chapter, it hit me really hard. And I'm kind of asking myself why. And I feel like a block answering that. But it's like it was telling me everything that you are and everything, all the feelings and thoughts. It doesn't have value at all. And I know Thomas Keating thinks that. He thinks that kind of there's no true self in society, in the world. He thinks that our true self is only revealed in connection to God, or true self in the presence, in the higher presence. It's really a purifying and a purified teaching. And somehow yesterday, it kind of hit me hard. I don't know the extent of purification he's suggesting. And I don't know if it terrified me or just doesn't come together, doesn't come in line with the level of purification that I'm ready to or just with other teaching and practices that I'm influenced by right now. But I just had to take a back step. And when I think what happens with all these emotions is that I know this event of taking a step back from this group triggers so much for me that it's hard even to admit to myself. It's like there's a few things in there. One of them is the just the loneliness of the path that I'm reminded now that I read from a few teachers. Even Thomas Keating himself mentions it in that book, that you would be so alone in the true path. You can't imagine. It just includes aloneness. I remember that being in that group and being read from that book. And I remember thinking, oh, I never be alone. I'm in this group now. How can I be alone? And I knew the answer. I knew that I have to betray, in a way, every group, every sense of belonging, to really be true to my own self. So I knew the answer, but I didn't quite take it in. And even saying it doesn't feel it quite conveys the kind of loneliness that I'm pointing at. It's just, I just feel alone and just feel really terrified of my aloneness after feeling I have this place, this leaning place to come and practice. And it's been a big part of my world. Every evening that I used to have empty evenings, to feel distressed, to feel loneliness. And now coming into that group, no more loneliness. I have purpose. I sit and meditate with this marvelous group of people. And I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to be anyone. I just can be myself. But there's still someone that says to me, hello, Lilac, and have a good evening, and how are you in Israel? And I know that they know. I know that they know what I know. And I don't want to miss them. I don't want to leave them. I just like them. And there's so much in this. Like, these are people who won't tell me because I'm crying right now or because I'm talking about loneliness. They won't tell me to get therapy, for instance. I know they'll get it. I know they'll get all kinds of things about being on a true path. I know they get things that most people don't get already, even if I don't agree with everything the book says, or even if I want to do different practices. Maybe I'm assuming things, but I think I'm assuming them not in vain. These people know. They know they won't look at me strange if I open up to them, although this is not the place to open up emotionally and tell stories. But just knowing that I have this connection You know, these are people who won't look at me strange when I unravel at the seams, because they kind of, I know they know how it is. And although I'm not ready to say that all self is false, and they won't pressure me into saying anything about it. And if and when, more likely when than if, I will unravel the seams at some stage. These people will know what I'm going through. And I've left so many groups. I've left so many groups. I've grieved so many friends, losing friends just to keep my own path. And I'm just fed up. I'm terrified of losing another group. And that's the truth. I don't know what it means or what I do with it. I don't know how I will act in the next few days. Or weeks to come, and if I ever go back into the group, I have few options. I can come in at a later time at the session and just avoid the reading if I'm so sensitive, and just sit down and do my own thing with those folks, just to like relax myself about losing them. But it just, there's so much going into that without even wanting it to be like that. Like the moment that I left and I realized that I'm not sure about my position as to going on with the group, that funk started declining upon me. And it was like a black cloud settling down on my nervous system. And in about an hour, or maybe in half an hour even, in the first hour, I just went to a walk, and immediately I did EFT tapping. But I was, while doing it, I was realizing how triggered I was and totally frozen. And the freezing was about loss, about losing again my support system. Just for, I went through rough patches with this. Just to name one, I used to be I used to be really into the human design system. And it was an amazing, unprecedented, impactful chapter in my life in almost every single way, emotionally, mentally, and socially. This engagement with the system, this sincere engagement, just by looking for my own truth and wanting to practice something to come into authentic living, took me into an exploration with a group of people and the community, both worldwide and in regional in Israel, which for me was groundbreaking. And it came about so naturally. And it was so revolutionary for me. It really changed my life. I came to know amazing people. I came to know complicated people like myself, and I came to know myself through people and through the system and through the practice. And it really was a blast, and it was rough, and it was challenging, and it was exciting and heartbreaking, and whatever you want to. And I'm talking about a period of about 7 years. And then one day, something like this happened. I just felt like there was also life events involved. And I also felt like an emotional funk receding, like going upon me. And in 2 days, I just felt like this is not, I have to go out. I have to go out. This was building up for a while, and I noticed it in a blink of an eye. Something is not working. I'm not like doing well anymore in this community. Bad aspects of mine are getting expressed too much, and I have to take a step back. And I had to, like, I don't know the word, like really cut off my involvement. And I took a step back, and this step back became 2 steps back and 3 steps back. And it was terrifying, and it was painful, and I didn't know what I'm gonna do. And it was so hard to find again. And it wasn't only the human design, because in the last, I talked about 7 years, in the last 2.5 years or something like that, maybe 3, I was also involved in its sister system, Gene Keys, and coming closer and closer to that teaching, and to its teacher, Richard Rudd. And we came to know each other and to have a kind of banter and a kind of exchange between us. And that happened, like that got severed is the word, at the same time. And those two connections, the human design community and the Gene Keys, and Richard Rudd and that community, I had to take a step back from different reasons, reacting to different events at the same time, more or less, like a month between them. And wow, that was, I don't know how to tell you. I almost died. Like, I didn't become suicidal, but I don't know how. I truly don't know how. I think I was too busy with my health at the time because I had so much health challenges that it took away from the crisis, the emotional crisis that I felt. And also my mom was already pretty sick, so I was involved with her and I couldn't like really collapse, but I felt at a loss, I felt alone, and it was just my doing. I just felt I had to take a step back from both of them. And a big part of it was just intuitive, like, I don't know why. I'm not even interested in it, in inquiring into it. I feel it. And I'm gonna follow what I feel because that was the teaching. That was everything that I came to know at that time and through those processes was how to navigate my life through intuition and through what I feel. So the only thing I could hang on to was that practice and to follow it, and I did. It was hell, I tell you, because I lost all the friends there. It was like a two Facebook groups which I used to be very involved, and I stopped being involved with them, and I felt much more alone. And the relationships that I fostered through those groups, I didn't think they will hold up without my involvement in those groups, the personal relationships. I didn't think so, except one of them. But that one fell apart like 2 months before. So nothing was left, nothing. Some people like approached me a bit, expressed some concern, and then evaporated, and I wasn't angry because I wasn't interested anymore. Most of the communication with those people was like laced with a lot of human design and Jinkies jargon, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I felt I had to take myself away from that kind of thinking and just like purge myself of any mental involvement once and for all. In 7 years, it's a long time to be, for me, to be so involved in one system. Not that I didn't delve into other fields of study and inquiry. And I remember for like 1 or 2 months, I didn't do anything. And what came along to save me, so to speak, was the Sedona method. I heard of it before, like many, many months, maybe a year or two before I had this breakdown, in a way, this crisis. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I want to like engage with. I'm a systems girl, woman, person. And all my community, all my support system was gone. It was gone. I felt so fucking alone. I didn't know where will I find my people. I had my people. I had a people. Until today, I didn't find anything that correlates to that level of engagement with a community. So it took a few years to metabolize this crisis and this separation. And in the meantime, I started opening up to things I never thought I would be opening up to, and started doing other stuff. And I really remember like Sedona method as one of the things that really saved me, because I kind of, in a few months, I was involved in another Facebook group of Sedona, and I didn't quite like what's going on there, but some of it I did like, and I did get responses to my sharing and the way that I was sharing my process with Sedona method. And I obviously liked going through a process with Sedona method, which I ended up jolting as well, like leaving. But it wasn't so hard to leave it because I was there like 6 months, very intensive months. And I didn't know so many good friends, personal friends there. But it was a good transition period and a very good place to lean emotionally, because it's a method for emotional processing. And then from there, other things came along, and I found myself engaged in other ways. And today, after going through all that process, knowing other friends through other frameworks and systems, I feel I know what happened there. I feel I know why. I don't know how to explain it, or most days I don't know how to explain it. Some days are more mental and verbal for me. So in those days, I sometimes can explain things that other days I can't. But even if I can't explain, I know it was the right thing to do. I know why I did it, even if I can't explain it. I know it was limiting for me if I would have stayed. I know if it was the right thing for me to be there, that for the time that I was. I appreciate immensely, and more so with the passing days, what this system and process gave me. And the whole time I was there, I was considering to become a teacher and a practitioner working with people with human design. And today I totally understand why I was considering that so strongly. And I'm grateful for the way, for the path that I took not doing that, because I grew so much from not doing that, from resisting the urge, because that urge came not from the right place. And I ended up right now practicing and facilitating with people a totally different system much simpler, much more loose, which is just Bach flower remedies. And I wouldn't in the world think that I would end up this way. Never ever would think that. So going through and this story, I feel a kind of empowerment coming up on me. I feel less sad right now. I feel less distressed because I'm connecting the resilience that there was on the path eventually for me, and those chapters when I lost. I think it was terrifying. It was terrifying to lose Richard Rudd, as a teacher and a friend. We were slightly friendly. And when we kind of had a quarrel, and he came to me trying to mend things, and I appreciated it so much. I appreciated it so much, and still I had that intuition to leave, to go apart. And if I wouldn't know better, if I wouldn't know myself, if I wouldn't leave like with an eye from within myself, it wouldn't be a part of that story, and leaving it from within, I would think that this breaking away from those two groups at the same time is something pathological. It's evidence of something being wrong with me. But I have to say, I didn't have that notion then. And in retrospect, even though I know a lot more about my emotional issues and pathology, if you will, in psychological terms, about attachment theory and the way it plays out for me, I still don't feel it was pathological. There was attachment involved, there was attachment all around it, but I so feel that it was justified, not in an emotional way, but just in a pathway. Like it wasn't my path anymore. I had to make a 90-degree turn and go this way. And that's the way it is. It's just the way it is. And I really am feeling strange right now because I felt I started this video on a low key, and now I'm feeling in a much better place, and really without pretending or something. I'm trying to feel back into the feelings of fear and grief. And I think the fear and grief that I feel about this group are telling to two things. One is they're telling about the connection I feel to this group. And maybe it's something that I can just allow myself to consider, to still have, like, retain a kind of connection and see, what if I don't go all the way and sever the connection, but just allow myself like very loose contact. Just come in once or in a week or in 2 weeks if I have to. Don't come in the reading section for a while. Just come to sit with them and just allow myself to retain some of the connection and lose most of it. Just really take a step back, but for the sake of just feeling safe with this, not take it like not doing it so radically. And another thing that the grief that I'm feeling is telling about is my history. And a big part of this history is what happened in that time when I separated from those two groups and those two communities of human design and Gene Keys, which were very pivotal to my life, very meaningful. And it just made its impression. It was really hard. And I'm really afraid of going through that again. And also it's telling of how truly loneliness is present in my life, how challenging it's been to go my own path. And when I tell this, when I say this, when I say loneliness, and when I say it's hard to go on my own path, I just feel that in a like layer of numbness in my solar plexus, not wanting to feel into that. Because I felt so much today already, and it's okay. It's okay. I don't have to feel everything, but I am probably lonely. I am probably very guarded. I do probably have some relationship issues, and I am justified to have them from many reasons. So I don't know if I'll publish this, but I feel maybe I will, just for a while, because to allow my channel some personal use. And also, I feel positive about the process I went through in this sharing, during this sharing. I feel I'm ending at open and kind of empowered and tender place, which is a good way. It's a good place to be, considering the place that I've been most of today and most of yesterday. It's a really good place to be. So thank you if you were listening at all, and all power to you. Bye.